In this tutorial, we're going to replace some hardwood floor. We had some water damage from a leaking dishwasher. So our first step is to mark the boards. As you can see here, we can see the warped boards, and that was from the water that had puddled up under there. After marking the boards, you want to go out and gather some tools. You want to gather a skill saw, a multi-tool, a rubber mallet, a square, tape measure, and at least a pry bar. Gather up a spare scrap piece of your flooring so that way you can set the depth of your skill saw, because we want to ensure that we don't cut into the subfloor underneath. Next, take a piece of wood and make 2 lines for a side cut down each side of the strip. Then we're going to add cross cut sections. The reason is it's a tongue and groove floor, so we want to actually rip out the middle section, and then the areas on the side where the tongue and groove is will be a lot easier to release without damaging the other boards. Now, make your cut. Now that we've made our side cuts and our cross cuts, it's time to start prying up the board. We'll use our rubber mallet and our pry bar to accomplish this. We start off gently, making sure that we can get our pry bar in there and getting a nice piece to pull up. Pay close attention when you get close to the clean wood on the side like this right here, because when we start to pry up, we don't want to damage our good wood. We want to keep it in place. And remember, we want to make sure that we don't damage any of the tongue and groove. Gently pull up and it'll give you a piece like this. Continue prying out pieces, and the pieces will start coming out in bigger chunks. Notice here we can clearly see the water damage that was done. Continue prying and use the multi-tool as needed to make additional cuts if you have to. Now that we have all the boards removed, our next step is to remove the side pieces where the tongue and groove is. Carefully use your mallet and your pry bar to remove these areas. Now that the side boards are removed, it's time to remove the vapor barrier. Just cut along the side of the good boards and remove all the vapor barrier. Now, as you can see, the subfloor is actually still wet. Now we're going to let it dry overnight and start replacing the boards tomorrow. As you can see, we allowed it to dry overnight and we're ready to start work again today. Grab the old existing board if it's still intact, and then take a measurement so you can make sure you get the correct angle to work around the cabinet. Then take that measurement, go out to your new boards, and begin making your cut so you can form it around the cabinet. Now that you got the new board cut, go ahead and make sure that it will fit in and it fits in snug and correct. Also pay attention to where the existing board and the new board lines up. You want them to be off-centered. Now that the measurement's complete, go ahead and put a new vapor barrier down so that we can start installing our new wood. So now we got our angles cut, we got our new vapor barrier laid down, and now it's time to start making the runs of our new boards. Gently lay the first one in so that way that the groove will fit into the existing tongue on the old board. Take your mallet, and all you need to do is just start to gently tap it in, and then we'll follow it up with toenailing the board in place so that it doesn't move. As we begin laying our new boards, we're going to start to run into a slight problem. As you can see up here, it's a little off centered at the top. Our new board's going to extend into the existing floor. And that causes a problem for this little lip area, which we call the rabbet for the tongue and groove, or the tongue area. Because as you snap your board into place, it fits down here, as you can see. But then as we get to the top area where it's off-centered, that area, the tongue, is actually going to be in the way, and we won't be able to get a good fit in there because this is an existing floor we're adding to. So now we have to take it back out, make a mark, and then cut off the tongue area. Now that we got our measurements, we're going to go ahead and line it up on our table saw. Make sure that we're only removing the tongue area, so make sure that the blade is lined up correctly. Then we're going to push it through our table saw. And remember, we're not taking the whole tongue off at this point, just the area that we measured. Then bring it back in and snap it into place. To ensure that the panels will stick together correctly, we'll drop a line of wood glue down the tongue area. The last board that we put in, the tongue actually has to be removed, or there's no way that we'll be able to snap it into place. We can leave the groove area on the back to fit behind on the last board that we put in the tongue area. We snap it down into place. You can take your mallet and slightly drive it into the area up against the cabinet. Now that you have one board remaining, go ahead and finish it off, tap it into place, and you're done. And this is how you replace wood flooring with an existing flooring in the center area. I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember, this was just two dudes with a saw and a mallet and never done this before. Thanks for watching.